All right, I've welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, March 28th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. A couple more winners in both services today. So again, if you're thinking about joining, what time is better than the present? Especially if you like the GEX stream all day long in the live trading room. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here today, ending the quarter, right? So spiders down just 10 cents. Triple Qs were down 82. Dow up 20, and the Russell held up nicely. It made new 52-week highs, actually up 31 basis points. Again, this continued kind of rotation trade, right? Notice where the IWM is. Higher high, new 52-week high. What's coming out? What's that money coming out of? It's coming out of the Qs. Yes, we've made new highs, but no new closing highs, right? And no new weekly closing highs, right? So Qs on the weaker side, led down by semis. Semis were green today, but over the last week or so, they've kind of just pulled back in. IGV was red today. Has not made new highs in a while. So again, continuing to see some rotation out of some of these other sectors. Take a look at, here's a good way to visualize it, IWM by QQQ. And you could do QQQ SPY starting to slip here, right? So that NASDAQ leadership is starting to wane, and it has been waning for a while. It's strange because usually when that happens, the bull run kind of comes to an end. Usually the NASDAQ's the one that's leading, but S&P seems to be completely unbothered, and we continue to make new highs here. Although we didn't quite, I don't think we did quite make new highs today, did we? Oh, we did by 3 points, but and a new closing high, but we didn't close above the previous all-time high. But either way, the market's still unbothered. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong until we're below 52 or 51.90. Maybe end of quarter brings some changes. I did notice that AAII bulls, I don't talk about this all the time, but you know, it did uptick back to 50. It does feel like, you know, bears kind of thrown in the towel a little bit. Again, these are just thoughts, right? The markets had plenty of chances, plenty of catalysts, PCE, inflation. We had the Fed a couple of times. We had plenty of chances to have a bear move, and it just hasn't happened. So maybe the end of quarter can bring in some new money flow and, you know, money flowing out, things like that. Maybe the new TGA could do something, or the QRA rather. It's pointless really to speculate. Really, all we got to do is look at the chart, though. As long as we're holding these supports, you know, the market will correct when it wants to correct, and then the talking heads will come up with their reasoning for, you know, whatever that is. But until then, just respect price here and assume that we can go higher until proven otherwise. That said, tomorrow we have PCE and Powell. Market will be closed. Futures won't even be open, so you guys who are addicted, who won't even be able to look at it Friday morning, you'll have to wait, or you'll have to just gamble on crypto. I know it's tough, but you're gonna have to do that over the weekend. So we'll find out Monday. But in any case, here upside, you know, we'll just say 5,300, 5,300, and that should coincide with this upper trend line here. So we'll see if that gets tagged, and that's been resistance, and that's given us a pullback every time we've hit it. Granted, their, you know, pullbacks are like 70 points at best, but we'll see if that gets hit again next week. But again, market's holding up. Not much else to say. End of quarter, a lot of window dressing. By the way, window dressing, crazy window dressing in GDX today, and GDXJ and gold. I mean, look at this. This is just a buy program here. I think these funds were wanting to impress their clients, so they're stuffing their balance sheets with these gold stocks, so they get to tell everybody, oh, we were ahead of the gold breakout, when in actuality you just bought it today. But that's just the way it goes. But in any case, a lot of window dressing going on. Some undressing too. We talked about semis the other day being a little bit on the softer side. There's NVIDIA hitting that trend line again too. Right, so interesting watch. You have a lower high here too. If this breaks and you take this pivot out, you're going down to here. If that happens, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the market. It's $2.3 trillion company now, so it has that weight. and it's great on the way up, but if it comes down, it can be problematic. But right now, seeing that rotation out, Qs 450 still resistance. This would have me major concern if we broke down through 433. But right now we still got a ways to go. And again, there's no indication we're breaking down at all. So not really that important right now. Anyway, IWM, new 52-week highs, new 52-week closing highs, new weekly closing highs. Going back to, we got to go all the way back here. And this is a red week, January 2022. So IWM, seeing that rotation. I don't think it's done enough consolidation to go much higher. This is a year, like this is a whole year. Let me just highlight that. That's a whole year worth of buyers that are trapped. So I don't think it's going to break after a couple of weeks. If the move is really powerful, I suppose it could happen, but that's just kind of my analysis right now. I think it needs to do a lot more basing here. But it is holding up well, and I don't see any problems. The Dow here is pretty much a crime that they couldn't get it to 40K by Easter for the holiday. They were only 200 points away, and they couldn't get it done, so that was a disgrace. But we did close slightly below double top. Again, we'll look for it to get to 40K maybe early next week. Semis we've been talking about a lot. Don't want this to become a lower high. If it does, I think that's going to be hard for the market to continue to rally. IGV, this is going to decide which way this triangle is going. Trend is up, so give it the upside bias. But if we break down, they'll have some little bit of pivot support here at 83 or so. And then the big one down here at like 80, we'll just say 81 to 82. There's the 100 MA. That pivot goes, that's a major pivot. If that pivot goes on a weekly close, it can go a lot lower. But right now, we're not even close. So leave it alone. Dow Transport's been telling you guys, I've been pimping the transports on here for weeks. I don't even own them. I'm just telling you guys about how great this pattern is. So hopefully some of you guys are just buying this, because beautiful textbook bullish inside bar above all the moving averages, spacing starting to separate. Transports looks good. Look at this. We can get rid of this failed head and shoulder pattern. Forget it. Transports are good. I think they can inch up to 16.6, maybe 16.8. By the way, that inverse head and shoulder from a while back, it's still in play. It's still can take you up to 16.9. So transport's looking good. Interest rates, not much to say here. We had a little pop in the 2-year. Still kind of neutral here, higher lows. If these rates though attack this area here, 475 on the 2. 435 on the 5s, 435 on the 10s, and 445 to 45 on the 30s. If they attack that again, I don't think they're going to be able to hold it. So you just have higher lows here. I was just talking about this to members, and people are going to call this a head and shoulder. I don't. So a head and shoulder should be a reversal pattern. Here, let's get this off of here. The head and shoulder should be a reversal pattern. So what I mean by that is you want it up at the highs, right? And then you want that. This is just coming down and then doing it's. If you want to say it's like trying to put in a weekly bear flag, I mean, I can disagree with you, but I would agree with that more so than calling it a head and shoulder, because I know I'm going to hear about it, and I just don't really. I'm not saying it can't go lower, but I would not rely on that as a pattern. If it does break down 4.2, 4.1, I don't really think we're going to make new lows on the year, though. So you guys know my path of least resistance in the macro is higher on yields. Also higher is XHB. I'm just going to stop covering it at this point. It's like, what's the point? It just goes and makes new all-time highs every day. Powerhouse. VNQ still acting well. Weekly still looks good. No problems there. XLF, new all-time closing high, weekly, monthly, quarterly. So, boom. What can you say? It's strong. JPM loves it. KRE. Better shape. It's in better shape of the last 2 days. Still don't like the weekly chart. I do like KBE. Again, I've been kind of pimping this one too for free. Bullish inside bar. This looks like it can break out here. you're consolidating beneath this 48 handle, and then it's 50 and 52. So KBE holding up, broker dealers, new all-time highs, new all-time closing highs, etc., etc. Oil continuing higher, up $1.71 right now. That's 2.1%. Right, bullish in sidebar and a continuation. Still expecting 84.50 to 85. The one thing I will say, there's a couple of things I want to talk about with oil here. There's your inverse head and shoulders, right? I haven't shown that in a while. And target's about 91. I have gone on record saying I don't think we're going that high. I've said, 85 is probably max for now. But I also don't think anybody else has called for 91. And I don't think even people who are bullish are kind of like, yeah, 85 is probably max right now. So that leads me to believe we might actually go up there just because no one expects it. And that's usually when and how moves happen. Some food for thought. Another thing to look at here is this trend line. I'm going to give you a little bit of doing some education here today for you guys. So I've seen this trend line drawn in like this on oil, and that's kind of like the bear case, like, oh, we're into the trend line, it's going to fail. So let me tell you why I have it through here. So when I draw a trend line, I want the most amount of pivots hitting the trend line as possible, because that's where the market is going and that's where the market's respecting. With this, right, you've got 1, 2, and then maybe 3. You're not hitting that pivot, right? So you're just drawing it over that. You're just glossing over that pivot. Additionally, with this, so 1, 2, 3, failed breakout, 4, 5, and now a breakout. So you can make a case that we're actually breaking out of this trend line on oil. Another thing about this, look at that. This is how I know the market likes this trend line better. What's this right here? Right? 1, 2, 3, tried to break out, back tested it, failed. So I think this line is a little bit more important. I'm not saying the other one can't work, but whenever you have two trend lines that are kind of close to each other, tend to go with the one that has more hits on both sides. But oil acting well, still looking for 84.50, 85 in the short term. We'll think about 91 if and when we get there. So just wanted to point that a little bit out. XLE, not new all-time highs, but it is up there. So new multi-year highs, you got to go back to, 2014. Quarterly closing high on XLE going back to 2014. XOP, not quite the same thing. I think, XOP's got a ways to go, but it's strong. And then I finally, just so you guys know, I've walked you guys through this whole trade with me pretty much. It's an actual trade we took with Carnivore Trades. I just closed out 20 point whatever percent on commons here. My last piece position here on OIH today. Why? Because we're overbought. We have not pulled back at all. We're into this pivot, and guess what? What do we do today? We gapped up. I don't like that. I don't like that at the end of the trend. You can leave a hanging man. You could leave a evening star. We could leave an island. So I don't like that. Could it go a little higher if oil does? Yeah, it could go to 343, but I'd rather just wait for the next pullback and correction. But a nice trade here. I had it at 281, selling at 338, and that's not bad. CCJ getting a bid here today. Nothing really doing there. I still think this is just kind of neutral right now. URNM still holding up on the weekly. You do have a nice little daily bullish inside bar though. And then URNJ, I like even better than URNM right now. Also with a bullish inside bar. If you get above 2638, 2640, this is going to be in pretty good shape. Nat gas, this was green today. I do think this is interesting here. The K contract did spike the low. We'll see if that becomes something. I think this is really attractive down here. I don't like these contract gaps, but I mean, seasonally, we're coming into April. Typically, that's when you get a bottom between Feb, March, and April in nat gas. I mean, how much lower can it go here? It's a commodity. Here for lower prices is lower prices. So, maybe we could see 150 on the continuous or the front. I'd probably back the truck up there, but either way, it was green today. What I did notice though is take a look at some of these producers. LNG channel breakout, nice inside bar pattern there. Katera up nicely. AR up big. So some of these producers, look at this. Yeah, I should have just bought this. I saw this a few weeks ago and I should have just picked it up here at this lower wedge pattern trend line, but that's starting to break out. So the producers are acting well. Maybe they're forecasting something. Anyway, let's get over the dollar. Not much doing. It was green today, again, in a tape that was pretty much sideways again. I think a lot of that's end of quarter stuff. Market hasn't been respecting the dollar for a while. I think there's a threshold where that changes. The market says, okay, well, we can't ignore it any longer. Maybe that's above 105. I think it's going to coincide, if it happens, with a break of 4 or 5 on the 30-year. That's where the market hasn't even cared that yields are going up, right? There should be a threshold somewhere, one would think. Maybe that's it for the DXY, but that is resistance right now. Weekly, though, you got higher lows. You take that pivot out, it's 106, and then, you just have these pivots left, and then there's really nothing up to 110. So see how that plays out. The China and Japan are in a race to devalue too, so that will factor in. All right, gold up 1.33%. Again, big end of quarter pump. I think a lot of it's window dressing. Still a valid move, valid breakout. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of the move today was just funds chasing. So maybe it comes back in a little bit next week, but this is on breakout, and my macro target here, this is not a short level, it's just the target is 22.75. So that can still go there. Silver here, 20 MA, got a bit off of that. Still a lot of resistance. I don't think it's ready to break out yet. GDX, going into a lot of resistance here. It's going to need to pull back to get through that. SIL, going into some resistance. I think it's going to need a pullback to get through those. But dips can be bought on them. Platinum up 1.3. Palladium up 3.18. So decent day there for the alternate PMs, and I still, again, maintain my buy rating on those. Copper here with a little bit of a bid, but did come back in by the end of the day. Still expecting this to get to 406, 407. If it breaks down and gets down to 395 and loses that, it's back down to 390. But it's had a nice pop, so, and now it's pulling back, so we'll see if it continues in the next week. Bitcoin holding up. Bullish inside bar right now. You guys know what I'm going to say. Sunday night, which is 3 days away, so it's a little bit, the chart could look a little different, but I want to see a weekly close above that. We have not gotten that yet. And if it happens, it doesn't mean that we're just going to shoot to 100,000. Okay, it just means that we got that psychological, resistance out of the way. My base case is that we're still kind of just, we need to do some backing and filling, right? And then that 20 MA, all it has to do is catch up the price and they can go higher. So right now, no problems. Losing 60,000 might be a little problematic. Losing this pivot on a weekly close would definitely be problematic, but right now we're nowhere near that. So anyway, spiders, again, give the market the upside bias until something happens, until support breaks. First red flag would be 5,200 and 5,190, especially on a weekly closing basis, because that would negate this week's breakout candle, which closed above that previous pivot high. So that would be my analysis there. On the upside, we'll look for 5,300 and that top side trend line to hit one more time. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys have a great 3-day weekend. Take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll see you guys all next week.